Joining us now, Mr. Sunil Gavaskar. Sir, thanks so much for joining us. Good to have you back here on the show. First up, 291 for 9 at stumps. Is that a score that you expected at the beginning of play? Would it be fair really to say that India dominated the first half of the day and the Kiwis then dominated the second?
That is true. I think for almost an hour after lunch, India was right on top. They had just lost 1 wicket. Pujara and Vijay were having a very good partnership, and then Pujara got out, and that's when the New Zealanders got a foot in the door, and they never actually allowed another partnership to settle. Yes, there was a partnership between Ashwin and Rohit Sharma, but that was towards the fag end, towards the end of the day. So you've got to say it's even Stevens really. 291 on a pitch like this is a pretty decent score. Not the kind of score that would give you a comfort level. I think 350 plus is a score that will give you comfort level. But I think 291 for 9, India will say, well, they haven't done all that badly. But I think that the New Zealand performance was quite outstanding.
Right, picking up from where you left off, Mr. Gavaskar, you're saying that their performance with the ball on day one was outstanding. A very disciplined performance also, you would have to say. Not a single no ball bowled by either of the pacers. But when you talk about the spinners, you would say it's a good call by Kane Williamson to play all 3 spinners at his disposal?
Very, very good call, because they're all different types of bowlers. Ish Sodhi is a leg spinner, and sometimes leg spinners can be a little expensive, and which is the reason he's got Mark Craig and Santner, who are the orthodox spinners, who will therefore have a lot more control on how they bowl. But Sodhi is the kind of bowler who can win you a match with about 3 or 4 wickets. So I think it's a very, very good ploy that Kane Williamson has gone in with 3 spinners on this pitch. There is a little purchase at the moment, not a heck of a lot, but there is just a little bit of purchase, and I think that is what Ashwin and Jadeja will be hoping to exploit tomorrow.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, you of course yourself always put a lot of emphasis on when a batsman is set, he should make the most of it and go on to make a big score. Now we saw a number of Indian batsmen today get set, of course cross 50s as well, but no one really converted that into a very big score. Did that disappoint you in a way on day one?
Yes, I think it did. It did. I think while people will clearly talk about Rohit Sharma's dismissal because it was off a lofted chop, even the dismissals of Pujara and Murali Vijay and KL Rahul at the start was a little bit disappointing, because they'd all done the hard work. They had spent a lot of time out in the middle, and that is the time that you take the opposition by the scruff of its neck and try and dominate, but that's not what happened. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but again, I think the fact that the Kiwis never lost heart despite the heat and the humidity, they kept at the Indians, and their fielding was outstanding again, top class. They never gave away easy runs, so I think it was a very, very good performance from New Zealand. I think we've got to also talk a little bit more about New Zealand, not always about India, and therefore I think that this is going to be a very, very interesting series.
Right, and also when you say it's going to be an interesting series, sir, this is of course a 3-test series. Now, if India does not do very well in the first test and New Zealand are on top, how much of a domino effect do you think that is going to have in for the rest of the series? Because these are, after all, home conditions. India always does very, very well, more often than not, in home conditions, even though we have seen in the recent past a team like England coming and beating India in India.
Well, that's, I think, for the future. India is not out of the game. They have got 291 runs. It's runs on the board, as we cricketers say. Always having runs on the board makes a big difference. And tomorrow, for all you know, Ashwin and Jadeja might run amok and dismiss the New Zealanders for 150 or under 200. And that will mean that India will have got a fairly substantial, a pretty handy lead. So I think it's too early to jump the gun. It's just that the Indian batting now needs to get the hundreds. Like Virat got a double 100 at Antigua. When he got 100, he went on to score a double. I think that's the kind of attitude that the Indian batsmen have to show. Getting to 60s, 30s, 40s and 60s, it's got to be a very, very good delivery that should get you. And apart from the one that got Ashwin today, I don't think the batsman who got set and got going got the kind of delivery that they could say, well, there's not much I could do with it. The bowler deserves all the credit. I don't think it happened in just about every other dismissal, where I think the batsman may have just been a little lax, a little lapse in concentration, and that's how they got out.
Right, one final question, sir. India, of course, still have 1 wicket left in hand, of course. But what do you expect from India when they come out to bowl? What kind of a reply would you really be expecting on a pitch like this, where you yourself said that 291 for 9 after day 1 is not really that bad a score as people are thinking?
Well, I expect that India will be looking to make early inroads into the New Zealand batting. Maybe if they can get 2 or 3 wickets by lunchtime on day 2, they'll feel that they've got a grip on the game. And then they have also got to make sure, just like the New Zealanders did, that there is no partnership that settles down, no partnership develops. It's all right to have a 20-30 run partnership, but you do not really want an 80-90 plus partnership, because that will mean that the nerves inside the Kiwi dressing room will also settle. If you have wickets falling at regular intervals, that is where you keep the pressure on the opposition, and that's what India needs to try and do tomorrow.
Right, and I'm sure that is exactly what Virat Kohli also will be telling himself at this exact point in time, that this is what I need to do with my bowlers when we go out to bowl against New Zealand on day 2. Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, thank you so much, sir, for joining us, and of course we'll come back to you through the rest of this test and the rest of the series against the Kiwis as well.